It's all about celebrations. It's all about letting go of the pressures and the animosity and things like that, coming together as families and friends, you know, and in a sort of a short-lived way, you know, coming together, sharing love and all of that. And that's the sad story of all of this story of Jesus Christ coming to earth to to eventually die for our sins. That's a sad story. That's a sad side of all of this. But here we are. So I sincerely hope all is well with you and your loved ones. So from a psychological uh, position, I want to start the program this evening by sharing a piece on how to calm your senses. Because at this time we are running wild left, right, and center to make things happen for Christmas. We're encouraging on this program for all of us to try to find ways to calm our senses. Here's one suggestion. With the huge amount of stimulus in the world, it's easy to go into sensory overload. Isolate, so we're suggesting, isolate your individual senses: sight, taste, touch, smell, and hearing. And think about how to pamper each one. Try using earplugs or blindfold to help you focus. What colors, textures, lighting, smells, and sounds relax you? Are there ways to incorporate them in your home, car, office, on the road, wherever you are? The science of aromatherapy is based on the principle that scents can be combined to evoke a relaxed state of consciousness. Friends, are there certain scents that trigger particularly happy memories for you? Think about it. Amidst all that's happening around us, all the hustle and bustle, all the concerns about crime in our midst and all of that, about all the concerns about not having enough money to take care of my family in a way other families around us can. Can we find ways to just take it easy and remember the reason for the season? Friends, I'll say this up front. I grew up in a time on St. Vincent and the Grenadines. I'm the eighth of nine children in my family. And I grew up at a time when I can safely say that I had a happy childhood. Yes, I know my siblings before me, the elders and some of my brothers and sisters and so on. They had to, bear with more than I had to. I was often called a love child of the family for whatever reason I won't disclose here. But it was a time when, Christmas was great. Beyond Christmas, we weren't rich, but we were able to share with family members and relatives and friends. And they do likewise. Our neighborhood was such that we shared a lot, Christmas or no Christmas. My grandparents had cows and land. My father worked on the Orange Hill estate. We were able to share. We reached out to people, not only our neighborhood, but beyond. And likewise, folks in the neighborhood there reached out. So we were okay. Christmas was a happy time. I had a happy childhood, especially around Christmas time. It's one of the reasons, my friends, why as soon as I got into the field of mental health and other areas, I made a conscious decision that come Christmas, I'll reach out to those folks, whether they are on St. Vincent and the Grenadines or in Boston or now here in Toronto, to those folks who feel abandoned, who are lost, to give them, to share love and all of that with them. That's why I'm on the program this evening. Because I know many folks out there are not listening. I'm aware of that. I'm conscious of that. I'm very conscious. It's all about, up and down to get ready for Christmas. I get that. But if we can just reach out to one person a day, especially during this season, reach out and touch them and with love and care, it will be job well done. Like I said, I made that conscious decision to never work around Christmas time. I'm always working around Christmas time. As a matter of fact, I'll be on call for this Christmas morning in case there's a crisis or any situation. I'll be willing to go in and reach out. Friends, whatever you do this Christmas, regardless, try and reach out to someone. You don't have to have a lot of money to reach out to someone at this time. You don't have to. And I know many folks are going through perilous times. Yeah, losses, deaths, anniversaries, and more. But when you give, you get a lot in return. I can testify to that from the bottom of the ocean to the mountaintop. Some of us feel that we once we have, we'll keep. We don't share. That's ridiculous. Even if it takes a penny, a bread, a piece of cake, a drink, some marby, some ginger beer, whatever it takes, just to make someone else's life or day better. You'll be better off for it, my friends. You'll be better off for it. And this is not a Christmas message per se. This is just the Spirit working with me at this time. Yes, we are hustling and bustling and preparing for Christmas. But let's think about someone out there who might need a helping hand from you. I would challenge many of you. You have more than you need to really have a good Christmas. I would challenge many of you. Think about it, my friends. You don't have to overdo to have a good time. I know things are difficult financially throughout the year. You can't make up for what transpired over the last 11 months. You cannot. Life is about today. Life is about now. So you might think, well, I'm going to overeat. I'm going to have the turkey or the beef and the this and the that on Christmas Day and drink until I'm into stupor, until I don't know myself. Might end up in the hospital because I drank when I shouldn't have done so. I didn't take my meds for high blood pressure or sugar and all of that because I want to have a good time. Life was difficult throughout the year. I get that kind of thinking. At the end of the day, life is about today. Think about it, my friends. Think about it. Again, this is off script at the moment. But I'm really challenging you. And I'm really asking Monty to really think about replaying this. Because this is what the good Lord is saying to me. This is a message I really want to send out there. How do we reach out to others despite our lot? You don't have to have a lot to share. And that was one of the challenges I had with my good buddy E.G. Lynch, Gone to the Great Beyond, on that program, New Times on Nice Radio. He often ended with his program, if you have more than you need or whatever to share. I detested that, and I told him that before he died. You don't have to have more than you need to share. You don't have to. You don't have to. Even though you have a penny bread, a roasted plantain, you can still share. That's what I believe in, and that's what I try to practice. Friends, this is the program Inside Health, being heard on KankadiRadio.info here in Toronto, Canada, and carried simultaneously there on Behill News Network on St. Vincent and the Grenadines. My name is Vin Abbott, your host, with our chief engineer, producer Monty Cupid, there on St. Vincent and the Grenadines. When we come back, we'll be talking about safety in the kitchen and all of that. A lot of fires have been taking place on St. Vincent and the Grenadines. We have some messages we want to share with you, pulling from the Toronto, the fire department here in Toronto. I think you can pull from it what you want. I think it's really relevant to us wherever we are on St. Vincent and the Grenadines here in Toronto, St. Lucia, St. Croix. Good evening to you wherever you are listening to Inside Health. We're happy to have you for company. When we come back, we'll talk about safety and in the kitchen, smoking and home fire safety and more. Stay with us, my friends. We'll be back shortly on the other side.
The Advent Novena services.
On behalf of Bay Hill News Network, on behalf of our producer, Monty Cupid, our producer engineer, and all behind the scenes at Bay Hill News Network, on behalf of all of us in Kankadi Radio and the other members of the network, Fun City Radio, Success Radio, and others, I want to thank you so much for being part of all that we did in 2024, that we did before. I invite you to join us as we continue to program just for you, as we'll be doing in 2025. Just heard your voice there of a good colleague, a former colleague out of St. Vincent, Jeannie Elvey. Good evening to you, Jeannie, if you're listening. And thanks for all that, the work that you did in 2024, the work that you did before, fighting for issues related to human rights, particularly in relation to human rights for women and children. And thank you, Jeannie. Hope all is well with you and your family. Friends, before we get into our piece here on home fire safety and safety in the kitchen, I just looked at my phone and I noticed that Monty shared with us that there's a flash flood warning for St. Vincent and the Grenadines. And it's sort of strange because this is December and officially the wet season, the rainy season, the hurricane season should have ended, 18 days ago thereabout. And so I just want to remind our listeners about the importance of paying close attention to the water. In essence, watch the water. And based on videos that Monty shared with us and continues to share with us, I just want to say a piece here based on Extreme Weather Survival Manual, 214 Tips for Surviving Nature's Worst. And from Outdoor Life, it's about drive on flooded streets. And I'm just going to quote here. The most basic rule for driving through flooded streets is don't. Let me repeat. The most basic rule for driving through flooded streets is don't. However, if you are in a situation where you either think it's worth the risk or feel fairly confident that the water isn't that bad, here are some guidelines for what is likely to be a bad decision. Start by scanning the flooded area really well to be sure that the water isn't too deep. You'll want to turn off the air conditioning to help avoid getting damaging water drawn into the fan in the engine compartment. Downshaft to your lowest possible gear that is, and drive very slowly and carefully through the area. Keep the engine revving as you don't want to stall out in the water. Once you exit the water, pump your brakes to help dry the brake pads and be aware that your brakes won't respond as well once they're wet. As soon as you can, have a mechanic check your car out, as water damage to the engine or to the interior might cause issues later. My friends, especially based on the report we got there from Monty, that there's a flash flood on there for St. Vincent and the Grenadines. I believe the same might be true for territories around. Be careful out there, my friends. Be careful. Be careful. So it's Christmas time. A lot of cooking, a lot of baking, a lot of sleepy eyes, sleepy heads, preparing for the big day come Christmas Day, December the 25th. And fires happen all the time, but they're also likely to happen more so around this time when we are tired and knackered and we want to get things right for Christmas Day, baking and all that kind of fun stuff. Around that time, too, a lot of people smoke, relaxing, taking it easy. So this is a message we want to share with you. From the fire services of Toronto. Pull from it what you want. Safety in the kitchen. Let's begin there, my friends. Cooking safely. So when you're cooking, stay in the kitchen when you're frying, boiling, or grilling, or you're cooking, basically. Whatever you do in the kitchen, stay in the kitchen. As a matter of fact, and this is, again, getting away from that tip, that there are stoves and there are devices that are available where you have sensors. If you're cooking and you're falling asleep or you're likely to fall asleep, the sensors that are set up so that after 6 minutes or so, the whole system, the stove will turn off so as to prevent fires. I remember when I was in Boston, living on campus at Boston University, almost 2-3 times. 3 times per month, the fire department, the fire engine, the fire truck was there because students will be up, guys will be up cooking late in the night, coming from classes, and they'll fall asleep forgetting that they have stuff on the stove. There are systems in place to deal with that. We can have sensors. The system can go off within 6 minutes or so, and if you fall asleep, after a minute or two, the system will go off. The bottom line, stay in the kitchen. We encourage folks, if you're cooking, put a chair there and sit right there in the kitchen. Another suggestion is to have a kid-free zone, at least 3 feet, 1 meter around the stove. Kitchen. Kids. They come and play around, pull pots down, or can create problems for you in the kitchen. So have a kid-free zone. Another suggestion here is to avoid anything that can catch fire, such as oven mitts or wooden utensils away from your stovetop. And this is a practice that I see. I've visited several homes where on the oven, for example, on the handle of the oven, the stovetop is on top there. And folks that have like mittens or towels and all of that, you want to avoid that. You never know what will happen. It's a good practice according to Fire Services Toronto to keep anything that can catch fire, such as oven mitts or wooden utensils, away from your stovetop. You know what I'm talking about? Another suggestion here is to avoid loose clothing while cooking. Loose clothing can brush heating elements and easily catch fire. Yes? So what happens if, in case of a small fire, cooking fire? Always keep a lid nearby when you're cooking. If a small grease fire starts in a pan, smother the flames by sliding the lid over the pan. Turn off the boiler. Do not move the pan. Let me repeat this. In case of a small cooking fire, always keep a lid nearby, right? So, at all times before fire, always keep a lid nearby when you are cooking. If a small grease fire starts in a pan, and I know we like to cook and with a little grease and them kind of things there, right? Smother the flames by sliding the lid over the pan. Turn off the burner. Do not move the pan. To keep the fire from restarting, leave the lid until the pan has cooled. Again, to keep the fire from restarting, leave the lid until the pan has cooled. What about an oven fire? Simple. Turn off the heat and keep the door closed. If there's a fire in the oven, turn off the heat and keep the door closed. If you have any doubt about fighting a small fire, get outside and call, well, 911, the fire department, and others. Yeah. I hope these tips have been very helpful to you. In terms of cooking or whatever you do, just be careful. Just be careful in the cooking, in the kitchen. Don't fall asleep. Don't overdo, you know. Don't start cooking your turkey or beef or pork or whatever late into the night when you're tired and sleepy. Makes sense, doesn't it? What about if you smoke cigarette? If you smoke outside and be alert. Smoke outside. Use deep, sturdy ashtrays. Place the ashtrays or metal cans away from anything that burn. Keep cigarettes, lighters, matches, and other smokers' materials up high out of the reach of children or in a locked cabinet. There is no safe way to smoke in the home when oxygen is in use. Oxygen is around us, what we breathe. So if you're smoking inside a house, there's oxygen. That's not safe. Do not smoke inside your house. In terms of disposal, my friends, around this time as we talk Christmas, before you throw out cigarette butts and the ashes, make sure they are completely extinguished. Never empty smokers' materials directly into a trash can. Do not throw out cigarettes into vegetation or leaves, potted plants, or landscaping. They can easily catch fire. Never throw lit cigarettes off balconies. Put them out in water, sand. The final point I want to make here on the program this evening is about lithium-ion batteries. A lot of us into those, into cell phones and other things like that. A lot of them use these devices use lithium-ion batteries. They can cause explosion. We have spoken about this before. In terms of chargers and things like that, if we don't have the right chargers and we have knockoff chargers, they can cause your phones and other devices, laptops and other things like that to overheat, and they can cause fires. And when an explosion takes place because of a lithium-ion battery and overheating of a device, it can be what it is, an explosion. That can be extremely difficult to put out. As a matter of fact, here in Toronto, my friends, I think the authorities, TTC, Toronto Transit Company, and the fire department have come together, and they have banned the use of these cycles, these bicycles, or whatever you call them, that use lithium-ion batteries on TTC because there have been a few fires on the trains and the subways. And when there's a lot of heat, and I think that we now have some of these, there's the cycles back on St. Vincent that use lithium-ion batteries. We got to be careful. If you have an old phone or some device with a lithium-ion battery, I don't know what to tell you, but I know here in Toronto, there are places, depots where you can go and you dispose of them, you recycle them to get them out of your house. I've done that. I keep on doing that. Once I have an old device I'm not going to use, I get rid of the batteries, get rid of the device. I don't know if the same is true in the Caribbean. I don't, but we got to be careful, my friends. We got to be careful. We might think, oh, this is Canada, but hey, many things that happen here happen there too. Whatever you do this Christmas, be careful in the kitchen, with your smoking, with your devices. Make sure you don't have knockoffs. So when you're recharging, you're okay. And so on, my friends. Just be careful. Watch the children running around and all of that in the kitchen so that they don't knock things around, knock off pots and all of that. As a matter of fact, burns, and we haven't talked about that, burns can happen. Let's be careful. Let's be careful, my friends. The last thing that I want to hear on this program, I'm sure Monty will join me in saying this, the last thing I want to hear of some family, going down because of a fire. We have lost so many folks on St. Vincent and Grenadines, unnecessarily. We've lost 50 odd persons, 53 and counting, because of violence, murders, and homicides. It's painful from a distance to follow these stories. I can tell you this for a fact, connecting with friends across the globe, in England, in Boston, in the US Virgin Islands, and elsewhere, in Canada. It's painful. Let's make this Christmas one of our Christmas, the best Christmases ever, so to speak. No fires, no murders, sharing and giving in our communities. And I sincerely hope that our Christian community will reach out with a similar message for all of us, particularly persons living with disabilities. I sincerely hope the nonprofits, the businesses, organizations will reach out to persons living with disabilities who are normally discriminated against. Yeah, I sincerely hope. We're not asking for ableism, which is a type of discrimination and prejudice against people with disabilities or perceived disability. We're not asking for that. There are many folks who are living with disability. I'm living with disability, but I'm fine. My left eye has been damaged because of glaucoma. I've had all the surgery and the treatment continues to that. I'm fine. My vision is great, but I'm not disabled. You know, and if there's one thing I would like to leave you with as we move forward into 2024, 2025, that is, just think about this, how we label people, persons with disability. I'll suggest to you that it's okay to say we're dealing with a person with disability, or a disabled person, or deaf or hard of hearing, blind or low vision. Yeah, it's okay to address someone like me, with low vision. My vision is good, but I accept that because of the damage to my left eye. Vision is great. I'm doing well. For you, right? You can get that. But it's not okay to use words like handicapped or differently abled person, hearing impaired, crazy, person with special needs, wheelchair bound. No, it's not okay. Words have power. Let's look at our brothers and sisters, persons with disability or disabled persons deaf or hard of hearing, blind or low vision, as brothers and sisters, my friends. That's the message. The second message I want to leave with you as we say Merry Christmas, and we hope to see you. Yeah. Monty, want to thank you very much. Like I said up front, this wasn't planned. The Spirit just worked with me. Since I hope we'll share this, because I don't know how many persons are listening this evening. We'll share this over the Christmas season. Monty, to you, your family, your loved ones, all the listeners on Bail News Network, all the listeners on Concordia Radio, Concordians, Fun City Radio, Scott and others, Rosie and others. Merry Christmas, and we hope to see you and hear from you and share with you on Christmas Day. That's the way we end our program today, the final program on